Hi there. Welcome to C programming tutorial. This is the second class. In the previous class, I showed how to download a compiler, an integrated development environment, and how to create a shortcut on the desktop. So we'll continue with it. Today we are going to cover what the programming languages are, what it means to have compiler, all these kind of terminologies, and a brief introduction to how the structure of C program looks like. So you should have by now, you should have an icon with this kind of name, devcpp.exe. You double click on it, it should start the program. This is our program with all the menu items right here. We will be using this software, as we downloaded before. It's an integrated development environment, which means that it's an editor that allows you to type the program in, and it allows you to compile the program and execute it. And we will see in a minute what the compile the program means. So go to File, click on File, and then New, and then Project. This will basically open up a new project. Every time when we'll start a new, in every class I'll be creating a new project. Whenever you have some program to write in C++, in C programming language, or in C++, or in any other language, what you need to do is to basically create a different project for it, so that you can keep all the files, so that your all different programs that you develop over a period of time, they don't get mixed up. So what you needed to do is to choose the console. Let me do it again. Console application right here. We'll click on this and then click OK, and then it will give you the browser here that basically lets you choose which directory you want to save in. You could save it in any directory you want. Usually what I do is I would like to create a separate directory for every project that I save, so that my work doesn't mix up together. So I created project 1, and I go into that directory, save, and boom, it will basically show you a default C program right here in the editor here. This is the editor, and if you click on this on your left hand side here, it shows that the project 1, that's your project, and it has a file main.cpp, and these are the contents of the file. This file contains these lines, and we call it code. In programming languages, if you hear the word code, that means that that just means a program or a piece of program. So this file currently contains this code right here. So let's just we will cover it in a minute. Let's see. Let's just cover a few things here. What the question is, what is a programming language? A programming language is basically language that a computer understands. That's what programming language is. I mean, programming language has a very complex definition, but we are not going to go into that kind of definition. But for the beginners, programming language is basically a language that the computer understands, and the program is basically nothing but a series or sequence of instructions to perform a particular task, or more than one task. So if you have to do add two numbers, that's a very simple task. You have to write a program for it that will add two numbers. So that's our program. There are different types of programming languages. Let's cover them first. Really, strictly speaking, there is only one programming language that computer understands, and that is machine language. Yes, that's the only language that actually computer understands. Next level is assembly language. Now, machine language is basically simply a simply it consists of numbers. That's it. Yes, just numbers. The thing is that about the computers are basically, all they understand is numbers. They represent everything in numbers. The commands are represented in numbers, the data is represented in numbers, the words are represented in numbers, sentences are represented in numbers, everything is represented in numbers. So machine language is simply a sequence of numbers that computer can understand. It can make sense out of it. It can execute those sequence of instructions, and these instructions are simply in the form of numbers. Assembly language actually gives it a little bit of human form. It's very hard to read and understand a computer program that's written in machine language because it's all numbers. Computers, they can understand it, but humans, it's very hard for them to understand. Assembly language, it basically gives it a little bit of human flavor, a human form. What it does is it basically, instead of it replaces the numbers into symbols that we can understand, that okay, this number is equivalent to adding two numbers. This number basically is a command to add numbers, or this number basically says that store this some value in some memory location, etc. So assembly language gives it a little bit of a human understandable form. The third level is basically intermediate language, which is basically and the fourth level is the high level language. Now intermediate languages are basically in between high level and assembly language, which basically means is that you can do things which assembly language can do, but you can still stay at the higher level, a little bit higher level, a more understandable level. The C language basically falls in at this level. This is where C language is. This is an example of one of the examples of intermediate languages is C language. High level language would be Pascal, BASIC, etc. So these are basically essentially different levels of computer programming languages. Now, as I said before, actually, strictly speaking, computer understands machine language. That's it. It doesn't understand assembly language. It doesn't understand intermediate language. It doesn't understand high-level language. So why do we have all these languages? To make it easier for us to write the programs in, because we as humans, we cannot read. We are not good at reading and writing machine language programs. So we write the programs in high-level languages, intermediate languages, and some of us write in assembly language also. So what do we have to do then? How computer executes or runs or does what we tell it to do in high-level language? It basically, what we need to do is to convert a high-level program, or an intermediate level program like a C program, into machine language first, and this process is called compilation, or compiler is the software or program that basically does that for us. It basically converts an intermediate language into a machine language. And similarly, the assembly language is converted by something called assembler. And the high level language, we also have compilers, and there is another form which is called interpreters. The difference between compilers and interpreters is very simple. Compiler basically compiles or converts the entire program into machine language in one go, and then executes then you can execute the program in machine language. Whereas high-level, whereas interpreters, basically what they do is basically they convert one line of program at a time. Well, so I think I'm running out of time here. Please, this lecture will continue, and please watch the next video to continue this lecture. Thank you.